Coming up on today's show, we're going to dissect some Marcus Smart and Bam Adebayo trade rumors. But first, Celtics fans, we want to hear from you. Should the Celtics trade Marcus Smart this offseason? Type T for trade or K for keep. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video, so scroll on down and get your votes in. Welcome into Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. I hope all of you had a great 4th of July weekend. Let's dive into the latest Marcus Smart trade rumors because they've been circulating for a while and they are back. Sports Illustrated's Chris Mannix was recently on the Bill Simmons podcast. Mannix has close ties to the Boston Celtics. He's covered that team a lot throughout his career. Bill Simmons, of course, a Boston superfan. And basically on the podcast, they discussed trade rumors around Marcus Smart. And he's one of the few trade assets on this current roster because he has 1 year remaining on his contract, and he's still a really good two-way player at this point of his career. Here's first what Bill Simmons had to say about Marcus Smart in the Boston accent that I'm trying to bring to you on today's show. My feeling is either Marcus gets extended or traded, but it'll happen in the next 6 weeks, and it'll be one or the other, and I would lean toward the extension, but I wouldn't be surprised if they traded him for, I don't know, the 7th pick from the Golden State Warriors. Chris Mannix then followed that up with this. If Portland keeps Damian Lillard, that's why CJ McCollum is an intriguing option for Boston because Smart would probably complement Lillard differently at least than McCollum does. The biggest problem in Portland is there's no defensive backstop there. There's nobody that can guard wings the way that Marcus Smart can. So you put Smart next to Lillard, you take a lot of the pressure off him in that sense. There's a really good market for Marcus Smart. And there is. And I mentioned at the start of the show that Marcus Smart is one of the few tradable assets on this roster right now. And I understand that he is beloved in Boston. He certainly fits the identity of the city, the fan base, the organization, as well as the fans and the roster, right? Because Marcus Smart is a blue-collar player who's great defensively. He'll stick his nose in anything. He's an absolute bulldog and an elite two-way player, but at the same time, we all know that the Celtics need to make upgrades on this roster. They need to refine and retool things a little bit as they continue to build around Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So could Marcus Smart net them a piece that is a better player and a better fit than Smart currently is? This past year, a solid player, not great by any means, but he certainly brings a lot of intangibles to the table, and that defensive versatility is really, really valuable in today's NBA. Chris Mannix had mentioned it, but you also watch Marcus Smart guard multiple positions. There have been times where he even guards 4 or 5s, and he's able to hold his own down there in the post. Really like the player, but for Brad Stevens, as he continues to try to monitor and continues to monitor the trade market for Marcus Smart, if you can get a really good asset back for him, given that he's on an expiring contract, I don't think it'd be the worst deal in the world. But if you bring him back with the trade of Kemba Walker and he's your starting point guard and you don't find another upgrade there, maybe Marcus Smart is a good option as your starting point guard and you extend him at what I think would be an affordable price. So what do you think? I've let my opinions be known. Should the Celtics trade Marcus Smart? Posing this question once again, type T for trade, type K for keep. Get your votes in down below. So Brad Stevens pivoted from being the head coach of the Celtics into the front office, taking over for Danny Ainge as the president of basketball operations. I like the move because I think Brad Stevens is a really smart basketball mind, but could Sam Presti have taken over as general manager? Chris Mannix told Bill Simmons on a recent Bill Simmons podcast he's surprised the Celtics didn't make a push for Sam Presti, who's currently the general manager of the Oklahoma City Thunder and has done a wonderful job of just stacking up all of these picks over the next several years. Sam Presti, Massachusetts native, played ball at Emerson College in college, and the Celtics, as we know, instead decided to promote Brad Stevens and not Sam Presti. But here's my question, and here's the question from Chris Mannix. Was that the right decision? Here's what Mannix had to say on the Bill Simmons podcast. I believe unequivocally that if the Celtics made an offer to Sam Presti, he would have taken it. I think that the Celtics are Sam Presti's dream job. There's a connection between Boston and Sam Presti, and I think that if the Celtics had just a little patience and kicked the tires on Presti, they would have liked what they heard back. I have no problem with Brad Stevens taking that job. I think Brad's super smart and will find a way to be successful at that job. My problem is if you have arguably the best general manager in basketball potentially available to you and you don't even call and he's from here, like, I don't even know what we're doing. And I agree with Chris Mannix. Sam Presti, you can make the argument, and I think it's a valid one at that, is the best general manager across the NBA. He was a part of the organization when they had the trio of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, as well as James Harden. He has continuously drafted studs to OKC, which is really difficult because you have to hit on those picks knowing that OKC isn't a big free agency destination. And once he realized, okay, we have to retool, we have to rebuild because KD left. We traded away Russell Westbrook. We tried to bring in Paul George when Russ was here to try to bring this team into another championship contention window. He realized, hey, we got to rebuild, and he's done a masterful job at doing that, compiling all of these draft assets and picks over the next several years, and I'm sure Celtics fans would have loved to bring in the intelligent mind of Presti, but also a guy who is hashtag from here, given that he went to Emerson and he is a Massachusetts native. So if the Celtics didn't kick the tires on Sam Presti and they didn't at least give him a call, I think that's bad optics. I think that's bad decision making. And the Celtics front office should know better that if Sam Presti would have taken the job, you offer him that gig 10 times out of 10, even if that means that you lose Brad Stevens. I want to say thanks to all Celtics fans out there for helping Celtics Today by Chat Sports continue to grow like crazy. We recently surpassed 6,000 subscribers. Let's get to 7,000 subscribers. Anytime any breaking news happens, like, say, the hiring of Ime Udoka or the trade of Kemba Walker, we have you covered. We also bring you the latest Celtics news and rumors, so either hit that red subscribe button down below or go to youtube.com/CelticsTV. Let this be your offseason hub. With everything going on with the Boston Celtics, news, rumors, breaking news, we're bringing it all to you here on the channel. Cue up the trade speculation. Bam Adebayo, trade from the Miami Heat to the Boston Celtics. Let's get into it. So over the weekend, this picture surfaced of Bam working out with Jayson Tatum. That caused Celtics fans to just go nuts. They took to the Twitter streets and said, yo, is there any way we can trade for Bam Adebayo? And if there is a way, let's do it. And you know, in NBA world, anytime there is trade speculation, there are jersey swaps. Bam Adebayo in a Celtics number 13 jersey. Looks pretty good, right? You know what doesn't look good? This. And we're just putting this on your screen to mess with you. Jayson Tatum in the Miami Vice Heat jerseys. This is a sight that Celtics fans never, ever want to see. But we have fun here on Celtics Today. Another reason why you should subscribe, to the channel. Let's dive into these Bam Adebayo rumors. And I don't think there's much stock in them. I do think, though, that if the Heat are players for a player like Kawhi Leonard, they're going to have to clear up some salary, potentially trade Bam Adebayo away in order to bring in a player the caliber of Kawhi Leonard. So that photo surfaced on Twitter of Adebayo, Jayson Tatum working out. Look, this is nothing new. This is nothing out of the ordinary. NBA players work out all the time. But Celtics fans, that didn't stop them from just erupting on Twitter. And another reason why they were going crazy over this is because Jayson Tatum has done some recruiting over time, especially this offseason. He recruited Damian Lillard to join the Olympic team because, let's face it, Dame, Tatum on the Olympic team, it's going to be lit. And he was successful in luring Dame to play for the Olympic team. And also, Jayson Tatum has a long-standing friendship with Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards. They are best friends going back to their days in the St. Louis area. Both of those guys went to Chaminade Academy. I actually watched Jayson Tatum play in high school. Both of those guys went to Chaminade. And maybe Bradley Beal at some point could either sign or be traded to the Celtics because of that long-standing relationship with Tatum. Going back to Adebayo, though, here's the thing. And look, he's a really good player, very versatile, rim-running guy who's an uber athlete at the center position, gives you some positional versatility, playing the forward and center spots. Is he worth the price tag? of $37 million. So he recently signed a contract extension with the Miami Heat. This upcoming year, that kicks in. He's set to make around $27 million. In the 2025-26 season, that salary will jump to $37 million. Now, Bam Adebayo is a good player, but is he a great player? And my personal rule is you don't pay great for good. And right now, I think Bam Adebayo is a good player. He certainly flashed in the playoffs 2 years ago during the Miami Heat's run to the NBA Finals. And his numbers from that season to this year certainly went up. 18.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, 5.5 assists, which is a really good number for a big man who can distribute. And he shot 57% from the floor. Is that his ceiling, though? Time will tell. As for the Celtics big men, that's why Celtics fans are excited about Adebayo may be getting traded to Boston because they are bereft of a dominant center down low in the post. I made the argument leading up to the NBA trade deadline, you have to make a deal for a legitimate center. Celtics didn't do that. Now they're faced with this situation. Robert Williams, good player, not great. He's just okay. I think he's more of a rotational piece and a high flyer. Tristan Thompson, he is what he is. They traded away Daniel Tice. You have Grant Williams and Jabari Parker on the roster at the forward spots. None of those players are the caliber of Bam Adebayo, who is a stalwart both offensively and defensively. He's extended his offensive game a little bit to the elbow. If he can start knocking down three-pointers, that makes him a much more dangerous offensive player as well. And then I talk about him being a high flyer. That is evident on the defensive end of the floor, where he can be an elite shot blocker and fit really well with the current construct of the Celtics roster because he doesn't really demand the basketball all that much. So I want to hit you with this. What would you trade personally for Bam Adebayo? Get those votes in the comment section. They can be picks. They can be players. A combination of both. Hey, let me know in the comment section down below. Celtics Today is presented today thanks to our friends at Newsbreak. I recently just purchased the iPhone 12 over the weekend. You know, it was the first app that I downloaded on my new phone, the Newsbreak app. And I use that link at the bottom of your screen, which is chatsports.com/CelticsNB, which redirected me to the App Store, and I was able to download it pretty seamlessly. Reasons to download Newsbreak. Best app on my phone, first of all, but on one single feed, you get your local news, weather and sports, your politics, food, and pop culture items. And also, Celtics Today has a page on the Newsbreak app, so you can also get your latest Celtics news and rumors all on one single feed in addition to everything. And, let's be honest. We need to up our game with the downloads because all of the other chat sports channels are crushing us with Newsbreak downloads here at Chat Sports. So if you just go to chatsports.com/CelticsNB and download the Newsbreak app, once again, on your iPhone or Android, that will redirect you to the App Store and you will be able to download what will become the best app on your phone for free. That link in the description, as well as the comment section of this video. Couple items left to get to wrap things up here on the show. Ime Udoka, obviously recently hired and introduced as the Celtics coach, might not be able to coach in the NBA Summer League. I know Celtics fans very much awaiting his debut. Might not come until the preseason and the regular season because he is tied down to Olympic duties. That's no problem because that's how his relationship started with Jayson Tatum, Marcus Smart, and Jaylen Brown when he coached them in the 2019 World Championship games. The gold medal scheduled for August 7th. The Summer League set to begin on August 8th, so some schedule conflictions there. And speaking of Summer League, I've seen a lot of Celtics fans chirping about Yam Madar in the comment section. They want us to talk more about the man known as Yam. Well, you might be able to see him in the Summer League. There was no Summer League last year because of the coronavirus. There is going to be a Summer League this year, and Madar is expected to participate. He's getting ready to join his Celtics teammates. He's been working out, playing overseas in a professional league in Israel, a 2020 second-round pick who might be able to debut in Celtics green this summer in the NBA Summer League. So, before we head out, type Yam in the comments right now. I know a lot of Celtics fans very excited about him. Maybe the future point guard. We will see. Type Yam in the comments right now.